You can go ahead and show us. It is 6:30, so we can go ahead and get started. We're on a short agenda. Hopefully we get done. Business. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We can go ahead and do the roll call.
District 1, Alderman Miguel here.
Present.
District 2, Alderman Richard
Present.
District 3, Alderman Dave.
I'm here.
District 4, Alderman Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
And District 5, Alderman Charles Street.
Here. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, if everybody can please rise. We'll go ahead and get started with the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you so much. Great memories of seeing the flag. We had a little celebration. I'll talk a little bit more for our 100th birthday for Gilbert Myers, and it was pretty cool seeing the actual folks, the jump team coming in with the American flag at the end. So great memories on that. All right, we'll go ahead and get started on number 4, citizens to be heard. This is the opportunity for citizens, visitors, and guests to address the city council on any issue or any item of the agendas in compliance with LGC section 551.007. City council may not discuss any presented issue nor take any action be taken on any issue at this time. Citizens to be heard are limited to 3 minutes each. Attorney General Opinion JC-0169. Anyone would like to go ahead and present anything to the council? Going once? Going twice? All right, we'll go ahead. Paula, if you can please annotate on there. There's no comments. All right, let's go ahead and proceed to item number 5, consent agenda. A, consider approval of payment of the bills. And I think Lynette actually provided you a handout with the bills on there for your review. So, can you please pass that down?
Go ahead.
Or Attorney? Okay, please pass it down.
So that, I like the way you broke down the categories. It's nice. Thank you. Mayor, I want to make a motion to accept, pay the bills as presented.
Okay, got a motion on the floor?
I'll second it.
We got a second? Okay. Open it up for a discussion. Lynette, is there any way that we can get this sent out on Friday?
I did, I'm sorry, that is my fault. I should have. I'm sorry I was gone for the day. I was very short-handed on Friday, but normally I will try to have that for packets all the time.
I mean, I know that some of these are dated today, but and those can be presented today and then
Yes, sir.
40, so we have a
I
little
totally
time. to
agree.
review.
I'm fine with that.
Thank you. Any other items for discussion? Okay, with that in mind, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much, appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move into item number 6, this is a public hearing. We'll go ahead and take care of A. The public hearing to consider the advisability of dissolution of Vital Farms Public Improvement District, or PID, consisting of an area approximately of 158.355 acres of land located in the city, southeast of FM 2790 and Highway 35 South. So this is for the dissolution. So if you can show us on this one, go ahead and show us at 6:34. Let's open it up for a public hearing. So do we have anyone that would like to make any comments concerning item 6A for the dissolution of the former PID? Or once? Or twice? Okay. Still 6:34. You can still go ahead and show 6:34 closed. No comments. Mark is smiling. Mark is smiling. It's like, okay, we're gonna move on. That'll be good. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to B, public hearing on the advisability of the creation of of Lytle Farms Public Improvement District 2, consisting of an area approximately 158.355 acres of land located in the city southeast of FM 2790 and Highway 35 south. So this is the creation of the new PED that was talked about previously when they came forward and presented information. So if you can show us now, hold on this one, open at 6:35 p.m. And I will open it up if we have any comments on this. Going once. Andy's smiling, going twice. Rick is smiling 3 times. Any-
Urban, you did have one lady got there to talk about it, I don't think she understands the process.
Okay. So,
And the fee.
all right, come on up, Pam.
What are you talking about?
You said you wanted to talk about the development over there, right?
Oh, no, that's not the one I'm talking
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Sorry, my fault.
Rick is like, okay,
Or whatever.
okay, the 3rd time. Any other comments on the PID? On public hearing, okay? Paula, if you can go ahead and show us at 6:36 p.m. Show it closed. With no comments.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank
We'll
you,
be back August 14th.
appreciate it. So Mark, thank you so much. To the team, thank you for being here. We look forward to council on the 14th and getting into the next timetable item, right? That's gonna be our next one. So thank you for being here and drive safely, stay hydrated. That's what it's all about. Thank you. All right, council, let's go ahead and jump into item number 7. Open session, take action on items discussed. And A, consider an act upon LD Cromer final plat review. And this is next.
So council, this has been reviewed by our city engineers, and the letters there showing that it is conforming to all regulations of the city, and they recommend approval for final plating.
Where's this property at? What are they trying to do?
This is the Colin Stoudemire project, where you're gonna do the coffee house up front with the food truck park in the back.
Matt, maybe a little off point. This seems to be a little bit behind schedule. When we talked to him last, he said it was going to be open next summer. Do you have any background on that?
He's been back and forth. So initially, the project was one big project with the coffee shop up front and the food truck park in the back all at one time. He's now stopped that. Now he's gonna do just a coffee shop up front with the food truck park in the back later on. Then it was back to doing them both and back. So he's kind of been back and forth, but a lot of this that you're seeing right here is the engineers. There's some of my knowledge, there's been some issues internally with his team in getting data done in a timely fashion. Not on our side.
Is there any, what was presented to the council? Is there any major changes or anything?
Yeah. No major changes on the project.
So it's more the execution
Yes.
this time?
Yes.
Do you know, does he plan to address us anytime in the near future about his progress?
No, if you want, I can ask him to come in. He's got everything submitted. He's ready to start building. As soon as we're doing the final plating, he's ready to start construction pretty soon. He's already got financing done. He's ready to go.
Okay, no, I just didn't know if he wanted to address it.
No, sir. I think he's got everything he needs. He's already paid. We've entered into an agreement with him to cover the cost for the installation of the fire hydrant this project's going to require.
Right.
Because there's some water issues we got to address before we do the hydrant, but I didn't want to slow down his project. So we come to an agreement. We would do it at some point. He would just cover the cost, which we already covered.
He did the permits for those portable buildings. What phase of the project are those? So first phase or?
I'll have to check with him because that was part of the second phase, but he's got to get them put in pretty quick. And he understands the new ordinance about they have to go on a foundation, a concrete foundation with plumbing running through. We've already talked about that. So he's aware of everything.
Those are the bathrooms for
The food park.
The whole project, right? I mean,
Yes, sir. He's hoping to get it going quick. But it's like everything else when it's your own money, I guess, you know, you're quick and the financially quick can be two different
Yeah, it never happens on time. Any construction stuff never happens on time. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I would move that, we approve the final plat for the L.E. Cromer, and move forward with this project. Okay, got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and approve the L.E. Cromer final plat review.
I'll second that.
And a second. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much, appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to B, consider an act upon preliminary plat review, resubmittal to Mueller Estates.
So, council, this has, the city secretary, Leonard Brahma, covered real quick, if you don't mind. So we need to go back to 6/8 of 20. This property, was previously subdivided by the owner then. They took the large parcel, separated into two. She moved into the back and then sold the front half, which is this, I believe, 2.5 acres up front now. And there's an easement that runs back there. I reviewed that meeting today because there were some questions on what was allowed, not allowed. And the best I can tell on reviewing it in the audio, that we didn't have great audio then, is the process wasn't done correctly initially. And then when it was discovered, it was brought before council, but it was so far behind, not behind, so far ahead of schedule on where it should have been, and construction had already started, that council issued a variance to a portion of the subdivision plat for that specific one. It was hard to hear kind of what it was, but it was granted. There was no discussion on the front half on anything else that were possibly happen later on. So in the looking further at this and talks with our engineer on it, because I had some concerns, I asked him, what about the back half? They're gonna take the 2.5 acres, subdivide it, and take a 1/4 acre out of the front, and that would be lot 1. So then my question was, what about the rest of the property? How do they access it? Does it meet code on that? And the response I got was, I don't know, we're looking at it as just lot 1. So the problem is, we're about to subdivide a piece of property that now gives me a middle property that may or may not meet code that we need to address, and they agreed with me on that. So at this time, I'm gonna ask that you table this item for 2 weeks until I get the engineer up here, we can do a site visit, actually look at it and get eyes on, because when he looked at it more today, he had some additional questions.
So, the other thing I was trying to remember, some of us were in the council back then and we looked at it. So the other thing to address with the engineers is look at having enough room for septic.
That was my question, and they didn't know that answer.
Yeah, so.
That's why we need to look at a bunch of things for what we.
There's minimum that you need to have in order to be able to do that.
And I think in talking to the engineer, when we subdivide this, it needs to be subdivided with lot 1 and lot 2 as part of the plating process. So when it's platted back at the county, it shows the 2 pieces of property. But it's my understanding, what we were told is that a new house would be built on the back in the middle, what would then become the middle, and the front one would be sold off. So so concerns on my end that the engineer was
That's the original, when they came to council and we granted the variance, I guess it was variance, so we did that.
Yes.
But when it was brought to council back then, it was supposed to be just 2 lots. So the people were gonna move to the back with the understanding in front, but that's all that was gonna happen. So, but we gotta look at what we have in front of us and take a look and see whether or not we can actually go down that road.
We can get it all done.
That's the reason that we actually looked at doing that, just because it's in the back. And there was an easement, and whether or not we have the easement appropriately identified and everything else that goes along with that. So as long as it meets the rules and we have the minimums, we can come back to council.
Yeah, and we're gonna have it done in 2 weeks, and we still meet the shot plot, that we're understanding.
So, try to take
And at that point, you'll better define what the variance is.
Yes, we will work, and we're gonna allow them to resubmit based off of what's currently going. We're not gonna start the process over. We're just gonna pick up where we are and say, hey, we were made aware of this, and now here's where we are. We have these items addressed. We'll get those addressed.
What was the original variance?
The original, there was something to do when I was listening with whether or not they had enough frontage to 20, which the back half didn't have that frontage, and I think that's where this 30-foot easement came into play. But in talking to the engineer, maybe it wasn't 100% recorded correctly, properly, and that's some of the confusion here now. That we need to just address and get cleaned up if we're gonna subdivide that front one. We can't take 2.5 acres, subdivide it, and just show lot 1 and not show us anything about lot 2. And that's, we don't know anything about lot 2.
What are our subdivision requirements for septic tank?
Don't swear me, I'm not gonna allow that. I need to research that. Off the top of my head, I can tell you.
Because I know, Atascosa County is half an acre. It's in Atascosa County, I'm not sure.
This is in Medina County.
It's in Medina?
Yeah, this is in the Medina County portion.
Well,
I have to look at that. That was my question to the engineer.
it might be more than that, it might be 3/4 of an acre, so. Because we don't have sewer available out there.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I'll move that we table this item for 2 weeks.
2 weeks till the next meeting.
That we table this item for 2 weeks for, city administrator to get more information for us. Okay, got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I'll second. Okay, and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I can speak, I mean, so this, it's my property, but it's not in the middle of the property, it's gonna be on 2790. So it's not gonna be 3 pieces. The 2.5 acres in the front, I just wanna take a 1/4 of an acre out of the front right there on 2790. So it's not gonna be my property, a 1/4 of an acre, and then the whole front. So I just wanna make that clear. So.
Just make sure the drawings, everything that we get, highlight that, and just so we can make sure that our engineers are
So
looking.
that wasn't our, so it used to be one parcel. Then I'm assuming you bought the front from Anita Saucedo, correct? Correct. And then she moved into the back. And now you're taking the front parcel that you bought and you're subdividing it, correct?
Right.
So then that would then give us 3 lots. If we're gonna subdivide it, that's gonna take your front one and split that into 2, 3, or 5, I don't know what you're doing. We can only see the one, and we don't know what we're doing with the rest, and that's where we can't make a decision on.
Because the surveyors that I'm working with are the same ones that surveyed for Anita.
And that's where the issue came. That didn't get done correctly in the correct fashion, and that's why it came last minute before council, and the council at the time issued the variance. There was a lot of talk about, let's just, they're so far behind, she's already building a house, let's just do this more.
So are we saying there's not sewer available?
So not on that area.
So.
Well, we're gonna get it done in 2 weeks, that way we can have it all
Look at
done.
it, make sure that it meets the minimums and everything, you know, based on being able to bring it back to the council. So, but we'll use the engineers to iron that out. So just make sure that the drawings and the maps that the engineer and Matt are gonna have access to, will have an
Yeah,
idea.
I mean, I guess y'all have gone back and forth. with
Yes.
Survey many
There are.
times, they changed what they wanted to change many times.
But I don't think
They brought up.
the problem is we're doing, our engineer is, they don't always see physically, or see what the engineers provide, what the surveyor's providing. So when I described it on, we looked at it on the CAD, I described it more, and he's like, oh yeah, hold on, we got an issue. And that's where it came up. He didn't understand it. He was still seeing one parcel when it had already been subdivided once, breaking 2, and now we're taking the front one and making that 2. So he didn't understand that portion of it because of just the drawing and just not seeing it. But we're gonna do a site visit, get it knocked out really quick.
Okay, any other further discussion? All right, all those in favor for us to go ahead and table this for 2 weeks? Any opposed? All right, thank you so much, appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to C. Consider an act upon establishing a budget workshop date, financial director, Annette. Let's go ahead and come up with that. So,
Okay, council, we need to set a date so we can do our financial, for the workshop. So, can everybody kind of look around and give me a date that would be good for them?
would you actually, so tomorrow, just for councils, tomorrow you should be getting the values, right?
We should have everything.
Okay.
I would
So,
like to at least have a week, and then after a week would be ready to go, because I need to get with, take a big meeting over there. To go over some stuff.
Michelle, put this close.
Bring yours.
Brian, yeah, the systems.
Yeah, bring.
I'll work on it.
Just information, next Monday night is a national night out at Lake Shore, Tuesday night is national night out.
No,
No?
ours in October.
Yeah, and Lake Shore canceled theirs.
So there are none next week?
No,
Oh, okay, they canceled? or-
yes, sir. Well, I was, Clouser texted me today and said they canceled theirs. Texas celebrates National Night Out in October, but if you just jump on and get a date, it's the first Tuesday in November. in August. But Texas has realized that you're not gonna get very many people out in August.
So then Ed, would you be ready for next Monday? I'm just throwing a date out there, and whether or not you guys are available on the 31st.
We should have everything in by tomorrow, and I'm short-handed right now at work, but I think I can have it, we can do it right now.
Or would it be better to do it on the 7th?
Go ahead, hang on.
Can I make a comment real quick? The only issue we're gonna have is we're getting the values in, we're gonna send them to Samco, and they're gonna assist us, so we can get a second set of eyes, because we had an issue last year. And then we gotta send it to Loretta and wait for them to do the tax calculation worksheet to get our numbers, our revenue rates. And then from there, we can calculate the income, and that's when we can really start to put together a
Can we
budget.
do the 7th?
I would rather do the 7th. Andrew and I, have a meeting tomorrow on some stuff, but I'm good with the 7th.
7th would be okay?
Yeah.
Are we still within the timetable of what we need to do, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're gonna have it in her report, the timetable for the state.
So council, the 7th? How does that look on your schedule? That's a Monday.
Oh, the following,
Yeah, the 7th.
I'm good. Is that the second Monday?
The first Monday.
First Monday.
Yeah.
It's that time of year where we gotta have a few meetings
Yeah.
to get this process rolling, unfortunately.
You're here, Richard, you good? So the 7th,
Yes, sir.
7th, okay.
7th.
Can I get it, hold on.
What's our deadlines, though? I know you're talking about later, but what are we looking at as far as being under the gun to get this?
During my financial review, I have a whole list of them, and we can go over them and see exactly, I can't tell you verbatim off the top of my head.
We'll be okay with the 7th, as opposed to having to do it later in the week or next
No,
week.
the 7th is fine.
Can I get a motion, council?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
For the 7th?
Yes.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and do the 7th of August. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, got a second on that?
What time? 6:30?
6:30. At the same time, any further discussion on that? Okay,
If you can get any kind of documentation or part of the presentation out early, appreciate it. Have a chance to look over it.
Or,
Any numbers that you have, anything
Oh, yeah.
that may be presented.
so, I can do that before the workshop?
If
Is that good?
We can send y'all that, we get certified value, we got fair values today, we'll have access to Medina's tomorrow. And we can send those, what they're sending us now. I mean,
And I would like to see some of that stuff before we actually show up for the meeting.
yeah, we send certified values, and if we can get the tax rates in prior to that meeting, we can send that along with, kind of the, I'm not gonna call it the proposed budget, yet, there's a deadline, we have to present that, but
We'll call it our
it's gonna be our rough
We're
working
gonna
copy.
go work budget.
And we understand it's work in progress. Or at least I do.
alright. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor for the 7th of August for our budget workshop date?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks so much, appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and go on to D, consider and act upon the sponsorship for Medina County First Responder Appreciation Day. Matt?
Okay. The mayor, catch me if I get wrong here, okay? Medina County is gonna be hosting a First Responder Appreciation Day. And they're looking to each municipality within Medina County to help sponsor this. The cost to feed the first responders and the event, all that's already paid for. What they're looking for,
And the families.
and the families, I'm sorry. The sponsorship is kind of the different levels you want to be, and I think you got a copy of it. It'd be my recommendation that we sponsor at the gold level, which would put our logo on any marketing material they do, get us any social media outlet, and also provide 7 meat plates for any additional. So let's say a council member or their wife, stuff like that want to attend this, it would cover that cost. So we could have 7 non-first responders on behalf of the city also attend this event if we wanted. We got the money in miscellaneous funds and stuff anyways, we take it out of that. That'd be my recommendation.
You know what video promotion is?
I don't.
On the platinum, that includes promotional
Promotional
video.
video, they'll probably do some videos on social media, I don't know, I wasn't part of the meeting that was brought to me by the mayor, maybe, if they said.
They didn't cover anything about that. I mean, honestly, we were looking at the lower, we never went into the top end on that one. as an opportunity for us to be able to participate. So it's basically, we're just trying to show support. You know, they're gonna take care of our first responders, and throw an event that they've never done before. This is, I'm a county judge, and the Dominita folks, they wanna be able to do something to, take care of the first responders.
I can tell you this was done last year in Atascosa County, and, the fire department here sent handful, 5, 8 people to it. It was well attended and appreciated by the first responders. It was held at the Strawberry Pines, just outside of Poteet. It was just kind of a relaxed get together, all the departments get together outside of an emergency scene kind of thing.
Where is this one going to take place?
Can't remember. It's a event venue. It's not inside the city. I can tell you that it's kind of like a,
And Medina
I
County?
mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like a ranch that hosts events. I just can't remember the name of it. But it's inside of Medina County.
We'll know about it before then.
Oh, yeah, we'll get a list, like I said, we'll have up to 7, if we go at the gold level, we'll have 7 additional spots, non-first responders, we can send.
These are usually the place, it's a meat place, so I remember them saying that it's kind of like where they host events for hunters and stuff like that. So it's an outdoor type venue that they use.
What's the date for this now?
It's in October.
So we get a sign up for our employees if they want to attend, I mean, first come, first served sort of deal.
I would imagine if we have that big of a influx of people that want to go, maybe it's just a lottery pool, we just draw names out of
Or
that.
draw straws or something.
Yeah,
I'm looking 7 plates, you know, it's either one person, you're gonna go and eat 7 plates.
Maybe it's that good of food, sir.
I don't know, it depends on who's catering, I suppose. At 2 AM, are they gonna be open? So, okay.
Mayor, I make a motion, we sponsor for the Medina County First Responder Appreciation Day at the level of gold for the amount of $2,500.
Okay, got a motion for us to go ahead and sponsor for $2,500.
Second, and then
We got a second. Okay, any further discussion on this? All those in favor? Any opposed? Appreciate that, council. Thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 8. Don't have anything on that. Okay, executive session, call persistent to the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D, Section 551.071, consultations with the attorney, and 551.074, personal matters to discuss and consider the following items. A is an update from the city attorney on obtaining the city's files from previous city attorney. So we're going to go ahead and go to the back. There is going to be an exemption, Charles. You won't be able to join us due to your employment with our city attorney. Previous, yep, city attorney. So I do ask Matt to join us along with the council and with Frank on the back. So if you can please show us all of them.
under what, section are you all entering into closed session?
Consultation with attorney,
I know, which subsection?
551.071, consultation with attorney.
Okay, but is that under 074?
No, 071.
071?
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and show it 6:58. Us going into executive session. Council, go ahead and please join us again.
Yeah, Old Bill, he's a good guy.
All right.
Everybody's so darn old.
All right, let's go ahead and show us back, Paula. It's 7:18. Okay, so go ahead and show us back from executive session and put us down for that no action taken. Council, let's go ahead and move on into number 19, and this is a discussion and possible action regarding matters. Number nine, I'm sorry. Number 9, discussion and possible action regarding matters discussed in executive session. For the council, just as an update, so everybody will know, we received out of our previous city attorney, this is Tom Cate, we received 16 boxes a day, 19 in the last week. The staff will now go ahead and review those documents that were turned in, and then we'll figure out the next step that goes along. All right, so no action on that. Can I get a motion for us, no action on this one?
Mayor, motion that we take no action.
I'll second
All those in favor?
that.
Aye.
And Chelsea abstained, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 10, department reports, and go into A, finance director's report. I'll bring it up.
Alright, this is for June 2023. Our general fund balance at the ending was 1.17. Payroll was 8,627, credit cards was 4,577. Our Fed tax account was 3,356, that's mostly just a cushion I keep in there. And our bond account is 8,194,000. Our CD and other fund accounts came out to 2,000,003, and our total bank assets 11,768. Utility billing, we have a total water accounts of 1,535. The total billing of the month was 84,000. That was almost a $20,000 jump from last month. I'm assuming because of the heat. We're still sitting at 878 sewer accounts. No new ones have been put on, and our total bill were 33,998. We did add a couple of gas accounts at 347, with a total bill amount of 34,848, with a gross utility billing of 152,651. So if y'all have any questions, just stop and ask. Impact fees for the month of June, we deposited 19,694 in the water impact fees, 8,000 in water tapping fees, 16,200 in the water acquisition fees, 29,890 in sewer impact fees, 6,750 in sewer tapping fees, and 0 again in gas. Donations and miscellaneous income for the city, animal control brought in $370. Library brought in $198, and we have a police department donation of $5. So, some people come in the front door and they just say, we want to give Richie or give PD this. Somebody came in and wanted me to buy Richie lunch for $5. I said I couldn't do that, but I put it in this fund.
But we're gonna get interest on, we're gonna leave it in there and let it build interest.
So, total city donations of $573. The fire department has gone up. We were down in the 800s, but last month we got up to $974.25. That is redistributed in what I do pay back to the fire department. Any questions so far? Residential garbage collection, we have 1,432 residents. We billed them out $35,829. Our waste management billing was $25,563. With the new houses and stuff, we have put out more cans for the residential. So our direct cost, or our direct surplus came in at $10,261.
I have a question on that,
Sure.
Mr. Carter. What's the legality on having a surplus as far as charging a service fee for residents?
when you state the surplus will eventually be utilized for,
Or that is not including our G&A or any kind of overhead and burden it takes to run that system.
so while it's called a surplus, it's really not a surplus because it is going to
That's
be.
gross surplus.
So as far as having, what's the legality on having surplus? So,
If the city invests any additional dollars that are left over for that and forwards them to the following year, there is no prohibition in utilizing, having a surplus. The concern or legality comes in if those dollars are used for any other purpose than for the garbage service process.
and that's where my question comes from, as regard as last month, we were told that it goes back into the general fund. So as far as accounting for that money, we don't know where it's going.
Well, that's gonna be a decision of the council.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, we can't be overcharging people for a service.
That's correct. And what a lot of cities do is that if there's any dollars left over from one calendar year, it's forwarded to the following calendar year to keep costs down, so there's possibly no additional increases that upcoming year.
So before we start looking into carryover, we need to look at the overhead and burden and exactly what is taken to be able to run that between everything James does, the man hours, vehicles, everything, the direct and indirect cost. And then maybe we can look at if there is a true surplus or if we're actually just breaking even or losing money.
But that's something that we're contracting out to Ascend.
Not
No,
100%.
Not 100%. So they take care of the commercial accounts only. James is still doing all the deliveries of the trash cans, any maintenance on the trash cans. I get calls in for, like, the wheels falling off. You know, I've got to send a guy over there, you know, or, you know, it could be two. Every time it rains and a storm comes through, James has to go what we call find trash cans that are blown all over the city. Don't laugh, Michael.
No, I remember y'all reported that.
So, you know, I mean, we have that. New residents coming in, trash cans have to be delivered. And any calls that do come in about any problems that we have with residential goes through Virginia and license, and they have to make the admin stuff on it.
So I think some of the confusion, council, is the way the budget's set up. And when I was looking, Lynette and I worked on reclassing a lot of, I'm sorry, top line is not in here. And reclassing all of our budget items. So general fund is the 100s, and I'll probably everything but the utility department fell in general fund. So when we say go back to the general fund, it is, right? It's one fund, but that funds everything inside of it. Trash, police, everything. We've now reclassed that, so everybody's got, I don't know, we have the 100s, the 101s, the 102s, so that way we can really break it down. The one thing I always had questions about, and we're gonna try to fix, is streets, and within the streets kind of quasi line items, it has parks, and parks is being paid out of streets. Trash is classified under streets, so I really want to be able to break that down and say this is garbage collection, or however we want to do it, you know, and really be able to show this is our income, these are our expenses, and then build in the employee cost. That takes us the billing cost. We send a bill out, a portion of that bill has trash collection services on it, so a portion of that postage should be covered, you know, by that. I don't know. This is
Yes,
So-
there's a whole lot of costs that go into it. And it was something I started breaking down because as Mr. Kate says, we do have to look at that. But the last time I did a rough estimate, we may be making $700, if that, depending on how many calls come in. So it could be a quiet month or it could be a crazy month, depending if we have storms or if we have problems, or if James and the guys are out there delivering 200 trash cans.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my concern is it being reported as a surplus.
Absolutely. So
You know,
I
that's
probably
what-
shouldn't say surplus in here, I should say just overage right now.
Yeah, so I mean, we have
This
the
is
budget
gross.
workshop coming up, so I mean, if we could get a closer estimate of the actual cost, that'll give us a better idea on, you know, what we should be doing on our revenue.
Yes, sir. I agree.
So I just want to throw out there also, as previous discussions, it's not directly under the waste management on there, but it's funds that we have to pay. We also have a brush pickup, and that's contracted out. So we pay out to go ahead and get the brush picked up. We have a contractor that actually does that for us. So
and that's 5,000 a month, it's $225 a month, right?
Yeah, so when we get into the budget, just like you said, Charles, when we get into the budget, we'll see all that, we'll look at all the numbers. But just to let you know, there are some things that Waste Management doesn't do that we actually have to pay, like picking up our brush. Just food for thought. All right, go ahead.
City sales tax, for the year to date, we had 1.1 million. Our budgeted was 1.5. For the June, deposit was 130,246. There was a correction. I had to get with the comptroller. We were short last month from the reports that I got in. She corrected it. I can't remember what, I didn't put the prior one on there, but I think it was 120-something thousand. It was really 150. But I got that, the other 25,000 corrected in the deposit. Hotel tax, let's see, year to date, we've run 78,000, our budget is 121,000. June came in at 9,030, and I will tell you, college just gave me today's, and, hotel tax came in at 12,000, the highest month we've had so far for July, so. More people are, I guess, utilizing the hotel in the heat, I'm not sure. Franchise tax, we've only got quarter, so we have CPS that pays every quarter in a big lump sum, and then we have smaller payments that come in from different companies throughout Lidle. So right now, what you see in that 3,000 are the smaller companies where I may get $100 or $300 or $200 that gets deposited in. So we came out in 3,152 for the third quarter, starting of the third. Court, for June, we run in 46,258. Our year-to-date is 478,000 out of the 308,000 budget. So we are over on that. Warrant collection fees, year-to-date was 11,582. Failure to repair fees that I have to pay out to the state was 1,797, and our state court fees are now up to 205,278 on the court.
Are we breaking that down, as far as where that money's going as well? I know we normally,
No, I have to for the state, so those have to go when I do all my reporting. So that is very, and honestly, every bit of this goes back into Rich's budget. So you can blame it on him.
Well, I mean, I don't know what that means, goes back into my budget.
your budget's high, is what you're saying.
Well, my budget's set at the first of the year, so theoretically, then my budget, if we're over on that, my budget would be
No,
adjusted
that
upward.
doesn't mean you get more money. This goes back into the general fund that funds your budget.
Okay, but I'm just showing people to be misled that, because we don't actually see any of that money, you know.
It funds police, court, our municipal judge, you're gonna see we need budget amendments, we're gonna add some more there because he's holding more court dates. So it's not directly just one department, it funds multiple departments within, again, the general fund that we're gonna split out to show.
It goes in back into the general fund, which goes back into court or police.
Yeah, because what are the four or three categories?
We have four specialized categories. Out of every ticket, there's four that we have to take that percent, that diameter is.
I can give you a breakdown on that next month as well, if you'd like to see it.
And we got those caught up with this year's budget process. I don't think they were being calculated properly before.
They weren't being captured. No, not at all. So we had never did that before. I had to go back 3 years with the state and fix it.
Yeah, because I mean, my understanding of it is that the big thing is traffic control, like traffic police and roads. Those are the two biggest ones that I see. So, we're always looking for more money to fix our roads, so that's why I'm like, hey,
Well, we can look
how
at
much do
that.
we have? Can we budget more? And I guess we'll talk about this in the
We can do
budget
that in the
workshop.
budget workshop.
Well, theoretically, there should be a budget surplus, and that's what I was making sure that people don't think that goes back, that the more tickets we write, the more bigger our budget is.
No.
I just want to make sure that sometimes people can be misled, and I want to make sure they understand that's not how it works.
All right,
Okay, for the internal updates for court, we are getting a new online payment system. Matt and I have been back and forth with them a little bit. It's in progress right now. They're finishing writing it. It's gonna be just like, Insight is for our, utility payments, but they'll be able to do it online. Ashley's working really hard right now trying to get the forms finished with the help of, Austin Beck over at the attorney firm. And we're we're really excited about this. This is gonna take a load off if we can direct people to pay online. The court clerk position is going to open November 1st. Diane's gonna be leaving at the end of October. Matt and I are gonna start running applications in September for that position. Virginia is back on the utility side. She's still gonna be in and out for physical therapy, so you'll see her around and in and out a little bit more. Internal changes we did, we had a lot of complaints, and I know several of you contacted me about getting complaints from your constituents about the back window being changed. Matt and I sat down and we rearranged the office. So now Liza is at the back window, so the window should not be closed that much. So what I say that, and she's been out the last couple of days because she had some teeth work done, but from next week on, we should have that window open 24/7 to any of your residents in the area.
Is that a permanent change?
Yes, sir.
And where will Virginia be working?
Virginia's at her desk in the front.
Okay.
And then we were also going to start, as soon as we do the court payment system, the online text and billing system that goes through Inco. It was a service that actually Matt found out talking to somebody that we had the option to for, I don't even know how many years now, but it was never implemented. So residents will be able to pay their bill from their telephone or get their bill summary, and there's a bunch of stuff that we're working on. So these are the upcoming deadlines. So for July 25th is when the tax rolls have to come in like we talked about earlier. And the staff will calculate, and I'll work with the county over there with Brandy, and we'll get everything done. I'm also gonna be working with Andrew on making sure our numbers are 100% for next year, mostly on our M&M. August 7th, we have to submit the tax rates to the city council. So these are dates that we're gonna have to be working with you. Matt just made a comment to me a while ago, I didn't really take into consideration of when the council days are. So I'm gonna redo this where it meets when the two city council dates.
They'll just kind of move up a little bit,
Yeah.
so that way we don't have to bring y'all in outside of the
On
normal
time.
day.
Yeah, so it'll be the 14th.
Yes.
Right, right. August 29th is the deadline to file the proposed budget. September 18th, deadline to publish the public hearing in the newspaper. September 22nd, proposed tax rate approval. September 22nd, public posting of the notice for the tax hearing. And September 24th, the notice of the tax hearing. 28th, the actual budget hearing, and then we will adopt on the 29th. These aren't set dates. Like I said, I did not take into consideration when I wrote this about when the city council meetings will be. And that's all I have.
Council, any questions? All right, thank you, Lynette, appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on to city secretary report.
So we had a total of 18 permits for the month of June, mainly construction, new construction on Rush Coleman. Our permit number for the 2023 June was at $40,385. Year to date is $11,920. Total of 74 inspections just for building and reviews, mainly all finals. It's gonna be on the building, electrical and all that. 70 finals for, I think, probably 10 of those were Rush Coleman. We're up to like 103, For plumbing inspection, we had 71, all maybe finals. Some of them were Rush Coleman, other projects under shooting. We have collected $3,148.97 of taxes this last month. 1,072 due taxes, 689 penalty and interest, and 274 on attorney costs. We have no litigation penalties. And that's all I have, but I wanted to let you all know that we finished all the taxes, and they are getting, they were actually getting ready today. We had a meeting to start doing the, I'll probably have to go to the, so we close all that. And I will have access just to view everything. If they come in the office, I will have to come to the review, come to the account. Then I can see like checks from like, mortgages. I can take the county here from, 3175, and they'll process all that.
So we're using our new code compliance service?
Say that again?
We're using our new code compliance service?
No, our code compliance is being ran through the police department currently.
Okay.
They're doing it, they're
How are
coming in.
we along that?
How
How are we doing with that?
We're doing well, actually, and I'll have a report this month for you in here, but we're seeing progress. We actually had a citation issue because has failed to do what they're supposed to with junky items and overgrown lot, from the previous regime doing it, you know. And this is time, we've already given warnings under the officer working it, it was the time to take the next step of enforcement action. So they're actually got a court date, and we'll just go from there. But yeah, we're working toward that. If you were asking about that Ayoka, we have used them. We just recently used them in the last week with the fire marshal. We had a new daycare going in over here that, when we reviewed the code, it required them to put in a fire suppression system, which also triggered a fire sprinkler system. They didn't, I think they questioned that response, and so we third-partied the Ayoka, and I can tell you 100%, Ayoka said you're right on track, that's exactly what they need to do. So they're making some modifications, and so then in fact, we're gonna work with our fire marshal and Ayoka again to see if what they're wanting to do complies with the code. And it's great for our fire marshal's office to get that from somebody who does it professionally for a living, and yes, what you're saying is exactly what the code says, so that's it. There we go for the 8.5 million, certificates of obligation, streets and sidewalks, all of it's right there. I did talk to Scott today, they got all the contracts and everything back from Lone Star Paving, or they got them back last week, unfortunately, a couple of them were not done correctly, so they're finalizing those this week to get your corrected versions back in, and then we'll get the dates on when that project's gonna start. The water and sewer portion, of course, at 7.5. Here's some approval dates we got. I was asked at one of the last meetings to get some anticipated dates. So you can see for the sewer plant, the anticipated TCQ approval date, they're hoping if everything goes well, will be 4/12/24. And then from there, we can determine when we're gonna go out for the next CO to start that project. The water system improvements, they are hoping the booster pump station, their anticipated TCQ approval is 3/1/24. The elevated storage tank, the approval hope is 5/4/24 or 5/9/24. And 12-inch water main loop, that's gonna be 10/7/24. We're currently working on the 12-inch water main loop. I've been out gathering some rights of access to properties for the surveyors to be able to work on it. We have some, we don't have some, so we'll work on that. Scott and I are actually gonna meet on that, on how best to move forward with it.
All right.
Yes.
Go ahead. So I just have a question, but this is more because the plant came up. We had an inspection, James,
Yes,
the last week. How did we do? Any updates? Anything you want to share with the council that they need to be aware of?
Yeah, I got
Come on, okay.
6 or 7 things. And the inspector came out, and he's been there for a while, but he usually does big sewer plants. He looked at ours, and he says, the last, I went to one yesterday, it took me 3.5 hours to walk around it, so. Ours is, and that was 27 million gallons a day, but he came out, and he's not real sure, he has some suggestions, he's gonna help us out on a couple of things, like the warning signs, he wants warning signs like non-potable water. We have a no trespassing sign in the front, but he thinks we ought to put one at the lift station by itself, and then put some no potable water, but he's gonna give me some information on that. Also, we need to check the alarm system at the lift station. It's got a siren and a light that goes off. We gotta, take pictures and send that to them. We also need to get a sludge judge, which is a piece of plastic pipe that's anywhere 15, 20 feet, about 1 inch in diameter. You can stick it down there, measure the sludge in our clarifier. We had one in plastic, but it's not working. We need to get new wipers for our clarifier. And put it back online. Also, Robbie was gone that day, and we need to show him testing for our pH, DO, and temperature. We got the equipment, Robbie just has to run a test, I guess, and we'll show it to him. And our biggest problem is our chlorine residual. He came out there and it was low. It's supposed to be 1.0 to 4.0, and we couldn't quite get it that high in that time period, but the flow rate was over between 200 and 250,000 gallons. 200, 250 a minute. And the temperature was over 100 degrees, so the hotter it is, the quicker the chlorine dissipates, so we have to, if it's under 100, we pretty much keep it in range, but once it gets over 100, so what we have to do now is probably turn it over around lunch, and then around 5 o'clock before you go home, turn it back down to normal.
Add more
So
to
we
it.
keep it, yes, sir. I wanted to know our generator, who our company that we, and I got that information from the mayor, company that is gonna furnish a generator if we lose power. And the other thing is the engineers are gonna help us. We need to we gotta find out the certification of the pond, the liner. We gotta go back and find that when they certify that. And the engineers are gonna help us find something so we keep the chlorine within range. And whatever equipment that they get us, we're gonna be able to use it on the new plant. Right? When the new plant comes in, because there's so much, it's a bigger plant, we're gonna have to dilute the chlorine before it goes into the creek. So they want it treated within range, and then they add a chemical before it goes to the creek to dilute it, so there's no chlorine in the water. So he's gonna help us find an automatic system that does that.
That'll probably be part of the design, right?
Yeah. So in talking to the TCQ inspector, he was getting done one of the walks, he had some clarification you get from others, where there are violations. If you were to write the report today, there'd be some violations. The good news is it's gonna take him some time to write this report, he said. So we're gonna be able to address those, get them corrected now, show the supporting document we corrected them before the report comes out. So in the report, they'll be noted as a deficiency, but also a correction. So then hopefully, so James has a list of the tasks we need to work on, and we're gonna get to work on it. We got a lot of work coming up. I met with them today on some timelines and building those timelines on getting things done. So,
But nothing that we have to lose sleep overnight.
No, sorry.
not right this moment, no, sir.
Matt,
Yes, sir.
You know, looking at the anticipated TCEQ approval for that elevated storage tank, the last capital improvements plan, the engineers, they had, completion date on that of 2024. So we can't go out for bids until TCEQ gets
Approved, yeah. We can't take bids on something we know hadn't been approved yet.
And then once we get those bids, right, that's gonna take, 60 days, 90 days?
Yeah.
So I just see there's no possible way that we get that elevated storage tank put in. Is there any way we can fast track that? I know you're talking to them
I can talk to them and see.
about updating our capital improvements plan, but the last thing that I saw was that that's the next thing that we need to have.
So on the overall capital improvements plan, I've already talked with them. We're gonna meet in early August to go over and update the capital improvements plan. But as I told them, we don't need just what we need to stay steady with where we are, right? For the known growth, we need that, but we also need all this old stuff that's in the ground. Because that's a capital improvement too. And that's because we need to know the actual number of what it costs. We need valves. We got old lines in the ground, we don't want all of a sudden have a bunch of asbestos in our lines and then be under violation for that. We want to start being proactive about replacing these old lines. Some that we know are leaking, the main line that's always on 2790 that we know that has to be done, so.
Yeah, I think you and I, we spoke after the last meeting, and that line was, they had a leak following day.
The following day, and there's still a current leak on it now that we're timing out when we're gonna fix it.
So, of course, my biggest concern is us getting this, getting this implemented, getting the money for it. But also, I think about 6 weeks ago, Scott was here and he was saying that the cost had not risen really. More than 1%, I think is what Scott said. I was speaking to somebody this past weekend, works in construction. They're saying it's gone up 7.5% the past year, and then come September, it's gonna go up another 7.5%. So, of course, we went out, got that CO. My concern is where's the money? Where's it coming from?
Yes, sir. So I can tell you on cost wise, I'm working on the sidewalk project for the school, and the design cost, the engineers are coming, anticipated cost they're coming up with is less than the original amount we got. So we're hoping, we'll know more in October how that one bids, I guess.
Yeah,
I know it's not the same, but at least.
That Kimley Horn, whenever they did that application, that they overestimated the design cost to give us a little cushion. So
Hopefully.
I'm just looking at that time and be like, hey, October of 2024, that's 15 months away. I figured stuff's gonna cost more than.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But it's one of those things, I don't know, sir. But what the financial advisor said we could do, and that's what we got. Let's keep moving forward. Residential development, Saddle Ridge, 2 and 6, that can change. Phase 6 is what they're in now, 72 homes. When I completed this on last Wednesday, there were 41 homes under some form of construction or completed, people living in it. And I tell you, since then, I think there's been 4 or 5 more framed up and poured. The mayor and I are going to address, I went out there today, Mayor, and I did see that one, at least one that you talked about, there's a single car width driveway that we do have, the developer agreed that we need 2 car wide driveways, so we'll have to address that. 2 and 5, substantial completion, we're working on that. Just sent some stuff over to Jesse, I hope he's ready to get back to work, because I've already got emails to him. But they're ready to start with the bonds and all that, get all that reviewed, so it's all proper done. So TRC's working on that, and we'll get legal working on it too. Rosewood Estates, they're moving along pretty good. They're starting the widening of 2790. We've all seen that. The only issue we're having out there is the water system tie-in. We've got the one addressed up by the Lago State Bank. If you notice, they've already kind of started working there. The fire hydrant's been taken out. Instead of killing water to tie a 12 to a 12, they're going to do 2 6-inch taps off the 12 connected. Ultimately, in the end, it's still 12 right there. The issue is down 2790, where the 12-inch gets bored underneath 2790 from their project to the Lago Farms project. Currently, there's a 6-inch line that runs down it, and there is no feasible way to hot tap that. That is a cut the lines and make this 12 to 6 reducer to tie in, and then another 12 to 6 reducer on the other side until Lago Farms is ready, and Lago Farms ties everything in with their 12. The issue I'm being told by the contractor is that is an 8-hour job, and that will have to kill the water on that line for 8 hours. And speaking with the public works director, we're not sure that the 6-inch valve that controls that line will shut off and work. If that's the case, that is another complete system shutdown with boil water notices. I don't know. So I'm trying to work through that to figure out the best way to move forward. We're hoping we're going to find that valve in front of Mr. Cake's office over there and just work it a little here and there. And talking with another gentleman, Reese actually, he also said just work a little bit every day and just up and down, and we got lucky on 2790 right or McDonald on that one that worked for us. So we're going to try that and hope it works. If so, at least it's only that half a tank or that road we got to do. Lago Farms, we got all that. We did that work today. Street lights, this is not the street light policy. I'll touch on that here in a second. But the street lights, we're still working. I did not get an answer back from CPS on their timeline. They're working real hot. Heavy got pulls up and then it just died. So I'm trying to find out where the status is on that. The North Somerset Road, that was one I forgot to talk to Jamie about today to get timeline on. So I'll meet with Mr. McGrath on that. Open projects on the drainage, those are all on there. We need to figure out that. I'm meeting with Kimley Horn on Friday for the Lakeshore States. They've got some data. I think we're getting close to wrapping that one up. The private intermediate high school, I need to work with Jesse on a letter to send to that resident and how we move forward. All the same contracts there, nothing big to touch on there. Miscellaneous meetings throughout the month that I'm part of, vacation. I've got vacation scheduled August 7th through the 11th. When I say vacation, my wife and oldest, who just graduated high school, they're going with some family to New York, so I'm gonna have to stay back with the young kid. But I'll be here the night of August 7th. I'll figure out, give my kid a hand in the office or something to watch videos. And then we got Wednesday afternoon. I'll be here for that. Code compliance, overgrown lots, they addressed 31 of those. We had a junk vehicle they addressed, bulky waste was 6, 2 miscellaneous items there. You don't see the citation being issued because that's officially the next month, but that was issued. John Locke Park, it's all kind of the same on the parks there. We did get the backboard replaced at the Lacia Park, so they got a new backboard up there. The Veterans Park, I was just informed about a light that shines actually on the bricks. I need to go check that out with this dark. They said that's out. And that's it. I can tell you, I did today get a report. Oh, I take that back. I'll look at this today from the Railroad Commission, and again, talking about our inspection. CPS Energy runs our gas system for us, but we got a letter in that we are good to go, no violations, everything is 100% good to go. So the gas system's good.
Matt, where are we at with the stormwater assessment?
We're getting close. They said that they have pretty much all the impervious cover determined based off the aerial imagery and stuff like that. Of course, when they did it versus today or the next time it's going to change, we got to work out that how we continue that, you know, what people put in that. We're still working on the financial side. That was where Lynette and I worked on what it would cost. We anticipated 2 employees in the stormwater utility fund. We talked about the only project that I could list that actually had some kind of value to it was the Adams Street one that we had from the engineers a while back. So we were to share that with them and tell them, hey, that's whatever, 3 or 4 or 5 years old, so we need to add into that. But that's one we knew about with at least a cost. A street sweeper to walk through, be able to walk through and sweep the streets as the developments are coming in. They've got underground drainage, and we got to keep the streets clear so that drainage works. And then on my end, I said we've got a big project from Main and Somerset, so all of Somerset Road down to where it makes the curve at Lytle Somerset and runs out Pitt City Road. That all needs to be redone. It has been for years, but that is a big project that's going to require a lot of drainage and underground drainage, I think, to really fix that. To me, that's going to be a main thoroughfare into our town that we need to address, and that may require some. I don't know. That's a big project, so I mentioned that one to them. So the financial side that was hired by Kimley Horn to get all these numbers together, they're going to come in at some point once they're ready and present to council with some potential numbers on what we should charge.
So his name is Matthew.
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name. Matthew's planning on being here at the next meeting. So Andrew and I got together and we did a kind of a what it would take if we needed a CO to do what we needed. And now they're evaluating that. They're going to come in and present.
I know initially the talks of this would just be something that every month the residents or property owner would panel them into, would build up a kitty, and then we just get a project done. But when you look at this, that's I guess simplistically that is how they work. But realistically, they fund an entire streets and drainage kind of thing, or they can, not 100%, but they produce money to fund that, to maintain it and fix things. So that's the way we took it and the way we're working forward with it.
So are we gonna have that data by the time we set the budget, or are we gonna have to go
He's
in?
hoping to.
We're hoping, and we're gonna have some data, but then it's gonna have to come back to council on adopting what those rate structures are. And there, I think there's gonna be a lot of discussion.
I can't remember the other, there's Matt and Matthew. Matthew is supposed to be back with me next week.
Hey, they're still working on it. We're getting close.
Well, because you talk about these projects, right, we all know that there's a lot of drainage issues in the city, but as far as prioritizing them, you know, that would be really up to the engineers to come up with a master drainage plan, and then we choose the projects, and then based off what that fee that we're collecting monthly, we're able to whatever, maybe go off for another CO, or, you know, if it's smaller ones, maybe we can just piecemeal it together.
And that's exactly how Matthew described it. That's how we need to build this fund. But there's still, I can tell you, there's a lot of moving parts still that council's got to make decisions on how much certain types of entities get charged or who doesn't get charged and all that works.
So it's gonna be a fee that as well need to
to assess and try to figure out what we have. Here lately, the one that we've been getting a lot of feedback on has been the one in Bend City. And that one has a little bit of moving parts.
I'm sorry.
Bend City. So,
Oh, yes.
yeah, so that one has two moving parts. It's not only the drainage portion of it, but we have a development that is happening just down the road. So we gotta figure out the development in order for us to figure out the drainage portion of it. So some of it has a little bit of extra stuff that needs to be done before it comes in front of council. We would do that. So that's where it's being, I know the staff will be addressing all that. We take care of it. Okay. Anything else for Matt? Any questions or anything? All right, thanks, Matt. Lots of work, lots. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to number 11, the informational items. I'll go ahead and start right over here. So if there's anything we can pass on.
Just like to note that the Citizens Award Committee, we will try to shoot something for early next month, August. So I will be getting in contact with all the nominated committee members and see if we can come up with some dates. We have some hard dates that we have to meet, which was October for the nominations applications submitted to the committee for them to decide. And then on the November timeframe, that's going to be presented to council. And then in December, the council will present those awards. So just FYI, I'll be contacting the members and we'll get something going.
Awesome.
Next month.
Is there an online submittal form for that?
That's what we're gonna work on. All that needs to get looked into, decided by the committee, submitted to the council for approval, of course, and then we'll go from there.
We can work with our website company to create online forms
Right.
if we need.
So
We have all
we
that.
got a lot of work to do.
Thanks for leading. Charles?
Anything?
Paul? Annette?
Yeah, just to let y'all know that we had 6 more adoptions over the weekend, right, Santi? 6, we had 6 or 7? 7. So it's 7 as of this morning. So at we've really been pushing animals out. I think we've had 13 this month altogether.
It's almost 50 days.
Good news.
Awesome. Anything else? James?
We cleared 4 spots just east of the sewer plant. I guess they're gonna drill some test holes. But we did that last week for TCQ. TRC.
Here, yeah, TRC.
Yeah.
The sewer here, okay. The sewer plant's got a lot of movement. TRC's out there doing the test drills for whether the plant's gonna go to geotechnical out there. And then Peyton Dawson they did some work on the new emergency access road for Saddle Ridge out. So there's a lot of moving parts all out there at the sewer plant.
Awesome. Anything? No? Nobody over here? Cassandra, anything to share? Santi, thank you for all the work over there. Appreciate it. I know you guys been busy and stuff, and I know you guys are getting ready to hire somebody. And this weekend we have Bella's Pantry.
Yes, and then tomorrow we're having a stay meter from the people who had set up appointments. Just allies.
Cool. I'll talk a little bit about the last.
If I could, real quick, I just noticed my HR didn't pop up. I don't know why. Santiago's positions are all filled. We filled all of them, so he's not full staff yet, but soon, once we get everything back from the doctor, that they pass physical drug screen, we'll schedule start dates, but he'll be completely staffed shortly.
So,
The public
within
works
the
will
next
have-
couple of weeks, probably?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. So by the time you come in and report next time,
Hopefully, yeah.
it'll be good.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And well, I mean, because what's her name's back full-time now, as of today?
Melinda?
Melinda.
She was hired, 2 weeks ago, she started back on full-time with benefits with the city. And then we hired another full-time person and a part-time person.
So Melinda is actually full-time.
Yes.
Awesome. Anything from the Valley News? Nothing at all? We appreciate you being here, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and covering our area too. Dealing with that heat, even with that event, so. we appreciate it.
Never again.
It was warm out there. It was warm. You hear Richie out there, black vest and everything.
Well, for about 5 minutes.
That's you. Richie, anything?
We're taking applications, we'll be taking them for Friday at 5.
Got any?
One.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And this is for full-time, right? Okay, good.
Jesse is back from Europe today, so I'm hoping he sleeps overnight and be back into work
Back
tomorrow.
to work. Well, Frank, thank you for everything that you guys do and helping us out. I really appreciate the guidance and the assistance. It's been very helpful. Anything, yeah? No? Nothing at all? Okay. So Frank, we're needed. That's good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All of you may not know that one of my other hats, I'm a member of the Escosur County Historical Commission. I'm the resident metal detectorist. I can tell you about that sometime if you want to know. Our big annual event is coming up on the 12th of August. It's a Saturday. It's our annual Battle of Medina Symposium. If you're not familiar with the Battle of Medina, it was a battle that happened on the I believe it was the 18th of August of 1813. It was the last battle of the first war for Texas independence from Spain, who controlled Mexico at the time. It happened somewhere in northern Atascosa County. We hope it's inside Atascosa County, not across the line in Bexar County. But it was the largest loss of life in a battle ever on Texas soil. Over 1,000 Texas North Army of Republican Army of the North. These were the people trying to get free from Spain's control. They lost 1,000 to 1,200 men in battle, and the Spanish lost about 55. And as you know, Texas did not get independence until 1836. So it's a big event. The mystery is that until today, even with that large loss of life and a 4-hour battle somewhere in Atascosa County, we don't know where the battle took place. So that's one of the things I do for the Atascosa County Historical Commission, is to try to help them find where it was so we can actually commemorate the site. There's several signs that say it was near here, but we don't know exactly where it was. So anyhow, we have guest speakers. Breakfast is hosted by the DAR, and lunch will be available. It's pay as you go for those things. It's a great event. It's down in Lemon, and the address is there. And love to see all of you all, or some of you all.
Thank you. And also, congratulations too. The Historical Society got recognized.
Yes. We're all volunteers, of course, and we record our hours. We have, for the metal detecting part, we have 4 members of the Historical Commission that often go out together and look at old farm sites, not just for the Battle of Medina, but for any historical location inside the county. And so we're probably the largest group from the Historical Commission that provides volunteer hours. But other people put in a lot of hours in doing research on cemeteries, historical buildings, trying to find locations of the markers for the old Laredo Highway, the Kings Highway, Camino Real. We're in a lot of stuff, trying to preserve, advertise, memorialize the history of our county, and it is rich in history.
Congrats.
And probably a part of the historical.
Awesome, awesome. Anything else?
No.
All right. Few things to go ahead and cover. First one, I just want to go ahead and thank our Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate Dave actually being able to provide some coverage during family vacation time. So I appreciate that, be able to take a little break. I want to say thanks to Lido VFW and Auxiliary for a great 100th birthday event for Pearl Harbor survivor Gilbert Myers. I want to thank Divine News, PD, Fire, EMS for being out there. Thanks, Paulo, with your assistance with the proclamation and being able to do that. A lot of key people inside the city helping out. A lot of organization. It went very, very well. It was very hot, but I think he was very happy. We showed him some pictures, and the family was happy to be able to do that. We even had folks that showed up all the way from Washington, D.C. as a surprise to be part of that, far from the VA. We didn't expect that, but we've had folks from all over the place. A lot of recognition all the way around, so thank you for that. Thanks for Animal Control for the spay and neuter event under the Heigl Foundation. I think it was 20 dogs, 19 cats.
Yes.
So great opportunity, highlighting Lidl in the national arena. I know the last round we got a lot of kudos all the way around, so that's a good thing. So appreciate you guys doing that. And the Animal Allies folks with Betty. Thanks to Public Works for all the water projects for development and water repairs. I know you guys have been very busy, and then the TCEQ inspection. Really appreciate what you guys are doing and just taking care of a lot of those things. Appreciate the update on TCQ inspection on there. Be expecting here in the near future, we should be hearing about a grand opening for Patriot Auto. Patriot Auto used to be out over by the storage folks over on 2790, and they're actually moved right next to Joe's Automotive, the repair shop, or the body repair shop over there. So they're opening a new place, so you should see something coming out, but they've actually relocated. They still stay within the Lidl community, so it's a great thing. I know we utilize them, along with a lot of folks around here. 3rd of August, we have the haircut event that is happening over at the community center. So please pass word. There's some flyers that are out there too. It's free haircuts and a few other services for our school-age kids in there. And I heard they even have some sponsors to be able to provide some food for the kids that do show up. So that's pretty cool. But they got the lead with that. 7th of August, school convocation. So an opportunity for us to, as a city, we'll have a few representatives. So they're going to be over there to go ahead and welcome the teachers as the school actually gets going.
What day is that?
That's the 7th of August. 17th August, we have the outreach fair, farmers market, and the seniors lunch day. So that's a great opportunity. That's the one that happens every 2 months. So we'll be doing it again. And we've gotten some great response. People are already asking about the next one, so I know we should have a pretty good turnout. I do want to know that let the council, because of all the hard work with the staff and everybody involved with this, there's other cities around here that are now asking if they can duplicate what we're actually doing here. So kudos to our staff and our nonprofit organizations that are putting this together. It's being recognized, and other folks are actually requesting it. Textile update, Matt had mentioned about the 2790 construction. So in the next 2 weeks, there'll be 5 days that they're going to have flag folks out there. They're not going to close 2790, but it's going to be delayed because you'll have to wait until you get flagged, or they use a pilot vehicle depending on what section. But they're basically just doing the entrance to Rosewood Estates. So give yourself a little bit of extra time that goes along with that. I do want, please help us out. A lot of our residents been contacting, asking why the police not out there. I want you to understand it's a state contract, and the state folks actually have contracted police, law enforcement to be out there. So we have to work closely with them so we can keep our safety portion of it, our security portion of the state and the city actually going while they're working on that. So we'll address as it comes, but there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be happening here in the next few weeks, because they're trying to take care as much as possible before the school starts. That's the goal for certain things. These lights right out here, the timing is off, hopefully by tomorrow. That's what they said, that they should put the timing on here. So you'll be noticing that they're going to remove here in the next week the rest of the old lights, and they'll have the new lights working on there, and they'll have the new sequence along with some of the other ones that are going to be out there. So just stay tuned. Call if you have any questions or anything. Reminder, tomorrow we have our tax abatement workshop, 6:30 here. So make sure that you're here so we can go ahead and take care of that requirement. Got a few things that we need to take care of and talk about. Council, I do want to provide a little reminder. If you have a concern about anything that is happening, reach out to me, especially with the city. I do want to remind you that council members should not involve themselves in day-to-day operations with the city. If the city person observes a city operation or function that he or she does not understand, they should consult with the mayor. The city person, the council person should not give instructions directly or indirectly to city employees. So please, if you have an issue about something, your point of contact is me. Please reach out to me so we can go ahead and take care of that. We don't need to take any time of our busy staff. Sometimes some of the things that you might be asking about, we've already addressed them, or we already took care of them. It would be something quick, instead of actually involving 3 or 4 people, it might be done by a simple conversation, be able to do that. So if you're going to demand something from our city staff, I ask of you, please go through me. I would really appreciate that. Unless you're like somebody handling the committee, and the council has already appointed you and said, here's your committee, go take care of that, and then you're already appointed by the committee to go ahead and do that, and you're working with the staff. So please minimize your involvement with our city staff, unless the council has given you permission to do so. Birthdays, on the 5th of August, we got Chris, Public Works, coming up. We have the 13th of August, we got Luis over at PD, that's coming about. And then on the 16th of August, she's smiling. We got Paolo's birthday right around the corner too. Try to do that. Lastly, council, and over this weekend, unfortunately, we lost Yolanda Garcia. If you haven't heard, she was a huge player in the city, not only in the church, but involvement in the school, in the community, the DFW auxiliary. So, she's going to be missed. She's definitely going to be missed. But I asked for prayers for Juan Garcia and the family, as Yolanda is now serving above with a big guy in the sky. More details to follow the memorial. I'm hearing something maybe next week. We'll get it from the family of what they're going to do, but more likely it'll probably be here in our church that they'll be able to do, but we'll get all that. But please keep the whole family in your prayers. It was she fought hard. Unfortunately, she's up in the big sky. So prayers to the families for that. With that in mind, any last minute things, anything else that popped up at the last minute that we need to share?
Just a question.
Yes.
I believe the formal grand opening for Stripes is 3rd of August, is that still right?
It's still, is that what they're shooting for? I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think you're correct. Yeah,
You know, time.
no, but we can find out. We'll find out.
Yeah, I think it starts at like 8 o'clock, it's gonna be like an all day thing.
Yeah.
But
I think it's still the same. They haven't changed it. We haven't.
I'll check with her tomorrow.
Yeah, let me know. But
So we'll have that. So, good question. Anything else? Okay. With that in mind, it's 8:15. Do I have a motion for us to go ahead and adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a motion for us to go ahead and adjourn? Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Of course not. All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a great evening. Thank you once again for your attendance. Appreciate it. Have a great night.